Well, so good morning. This is the opening panel. This is like a very generic topic, right? Like 2025, what has happened this year, what are the use cases that have saved the year. So 2025, I would say that it has been like a super important year for us, right? We are in an all-time high of Bitcoin. We have lived a lot of all-time highs during these years. Stable coins have surpassed like the volumes from Visa and MasterCard in the first quarter of the year. We have been a lot of tokenization projects coming to life, like funds, different financial instruments, and so on. So I would like to know your opinion about what's the use case that has saved the year. Like, for you, on your perspective, what has been the most important? But first of all, because maybe some of the audience don't know what you are doing in the space, if you can briefly like introduce yourself and the company that you are representing in this roundtable, so they can figure it out what you are doing in the space, and after that, you will give me that brief about the critical use case that we have had in 2025.
Well, before anything, thank you so much, Paula, for organizing the second edition of Merge. It's been a complete success, and well, I want to congratulate you already. So I want to ask for an applause for the group because they are doing a fantastic job.
Thank you, Javier.
Well, thank you so much to all of you for coming this morning. So I'm Javier. I work in Bit2Me. Bit2Me is the first and biggest Spanish exchange platform. We've been operating since 2015, and this year it's been a milestone for us. It's been a tipping point because we obtained the MiCA license, and this is, of course, a moment that is going to change our perspective, our future, making partnerships, making alliances. So, well, Bit2Me is a platform 360 degrees to provide services, products, solutions to buy, sell, custody Bitcoin and crypto assets in an easy way. But also we work with not only with retail, but also with corporates and with institutions. So what we are doing now is integration directly with banks that want to deliver new services. And as soon as we got MiCA, well, everything open, and it's been, as I said, a milestone for us. I don't want to forget either, I'm not going to extend a lot, about the partnerships that we did all these years, and they are joining us in this journey, like companies like Telefónica, Unicaja, Ceca Bank, Inverse Corp, Cardano Foundation, and last but not least, Tether, that joined the company a couple of weeks ago, and as you know, is the biggest issuer of stablecoins in the world. So yeah, that will be it.
A brief introduction. Thanks, Javier. So David?
Yeah, I'll try to be briefer. So I'm David. I'm the ecosystem lead at Arbitrum Foundation. And Arbitrum is the leading L2 scaling solution on Ethereum. So it allows thousands of transactions per second in a very fast and cheap way, while we also maintain the security of Ethereum. So what stands out of Arbitrum is its DeFi ecosystem, meaning that we became the leading rollup when it comes to that. We have the leading perp dexes, lending protocols, stable coins, as Paula mentioned. So we are at the top over there. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming here. And also, I want to call out Paula, because we've been a sponsor since the first year of Merge, and it's awesome to see this growing so much.
Thank you. Thank you, David. Danny?
Hi, I'm Danny. I'm from Blockdaemon. Blockdaemon is an infrastructure provider to institutions entering the crypto space, so MPC wallets, we run nodes, we also provide staking, and we provide DeFi access from an institutional standpoint, but also do the B2B2C element. I think one of the things we're really seeing, and I think you kind of mentioned it earlier, Javier, was the integration piece really playing out in 2025. I think MiCA, all the tailwinds we have in the US, as well are allowing larger financial institutions to open the gates to what they want to do, build out their proof of concepts, and we kind of enable them to do it. Partners and clients such as Citi, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs are all utilizing Blockdaemon in this space to work out how they interact with their clients, how they build out infrastructure to allow their clients to access digital assets.
Fantastic. Jaime?
Well, thank you for the invite, Paula, and thank you everyone for coming. So my name is Jaime de Mora, and I lead the technical unit for startups and unicorns across EMEA inside Microsoft. And among many other things, we've been mostly working on what we call the the trust layer of the intelligent cloud, which is a combination of blockchain, AI, and confidential compute in order to ensure that every transaction, data transaction and agent transaction is done in a verifiable and secure way. We've also been actually partnering with many financial institutions in order to increase the adoption of blockchain technologies and providing infrastructure to many startups and DeFi companies in order to not only deploy their own blockchain, private blockchains, but also to advance on the field of decentralized identity.
Perfect. So I think that in the introductions, you have already been mentioning some of the use cases like crypto, stablecoins, infrastructure, digital identity, AI. So let's go one by one. I mean, the order, I don't have a preference. What do you think in your perspective and in the perspective of the company that you are representing that has been the most important use case that has saved the year in 2025?
Well, I think the topic of stablecoins is a really hot topic. First, because at long last, we have a frame in Europe. We have rules in the United States with Genius Act and MiCA, and it affects a technology that I'm sure we share this opinion. It's changing or is upgrading what we could do with fiat money. No? You know, stablecoins allow 24/7 transactions for very low fees globally and practically instant. So Tether started in 2014 with this business model. Then Circle showed up in 2017. And since then, we had two lines of developing this business. I have to make an observation about MiCA from this year, because as you know, a lot of centralized exchanges like Bit2Me, we have to delist a token like USDT and so on. So I think this is very delicate because when there is a disruptor, when there is a new technology that is allowing people from all over the world to have access from their phone to the reserve currency, we have to study, we have to go, of course, with a lot of precaution about the decisions we take. And leave the biggest issuer of stablecoins outside Europe, I think has to be reviewed in the next updates of MiCA. Why? Well, the reason is very clear, because if there is demand in other countries, I mean outside Europe, what you are pushing is the citizen from Europe that want to use USDT or other stablecoins are going to find ways outside the regulatory frame that you set up within Europe. And that's penalizing exchanges that are complying and meeting the supervision and regulator demands, request. So yeah, that will be my first approach to stablecoins. I think that that's a fantastic tool, and it's linked as well with tokenization. Tokenization is going to go together with stablecoins, and we have to be more flexible, or well, the message I will send to the regulators is to be more open to let companies that issue stablecoins to stay in Europe.
I would like to open a debate on here, right? Because this could be like a controversial issue. For example, Arbitrum, you have been launching a stablecoin this year in Mexico together with Bitso. What do you think of that, David? I mean, we should. What do we do with these unregulated stablecoins, at least in the MiCA framework here in Europe?
Yeah, so first of all, I agree with stablecoins being one of the main use cases of the year. We work with many partners in the US, US-based, but also non-USD type stablecoins. So as Paula mentioned, early this year we launched together with, well, Bitsol launched together with us the MXMB. It's a Mexican peso-backed stablecoin. And then, so similarly, I would say put Mexico similarly to Europe. There's regulation has been keeping up and advancing. We are not at the stage where the stable coins in both regions can be used for them as many use cases as we wanted them to be. At the same time, touching on MiCA a bit, it's being clear that with the USD stablecoins reaching new highs, MiCA regulation hasn't been. Most likely, it's a bit restrictive for the euro stablecoins to be able to keep up at the same level. So I would personally expect things to hopefully change for the region. Touching on also like the stablecoin being the use case of the year, we also it's been also the year of like some of these stablecoins. Like setting ground with different designs like Athena, which was something that users and builders were scared of touching.
Can you explain a little bit, David, like for the audience?
Yeah, sure. So Athena is an algorithmic stablecoin that uses, essentially it goes short on Bitcoin and Ethereum. At the same time, it buys an equivalent unity of the asset, so that it maintains a neutral position, but the yield that it collects from that, it shares it with its stablecoin holders. Actually, like we work, and I'll finish with this because I'm taking a bit of time. At Arbitrum, we've been working with like newer stablecoin use cases. So there's been this one that I want to point out. Their name is USD-AI. And essentially, they are using the collateral that backs the stablecoin to lend that money to AI hardware, AI infrastructure providers, so that the actual stablecoin is backed by like the GPUs and so on that are used to run like the whole like infrastructure setup for AI. And just finishing, like we've been working with them a lot. They put a lot of effort in the risk framework. And so it's, I'm very excited about them. You should check it out.
Just a quick reminder, by the way, that I'm seeing that the room is getting full. We have live translation, so you have headphones, English to Spanish, Spanish to English during all the day. So Danny, what has been for you, like the use case that has saved the year?
I think, of course, stablecoins is one of the big use cases we're seeing at the moment. To the point of the ability to use it, I think 2023, 2024, one of the biggest blockers we see for a lot of the larger tier one banks, financial institutions, was regulation. And rightly so, MiCA has brought this forward. It's opened the gates. It's allowed them to bring their proof of concepts forward, but it doesn't always get things right first off. So I do think we will see a general change in how MiCA approaches stablecoins. The ecosystem doesn't want to open up too much. I get why regulation will be where it is right now, but I do think that will progress, especially when we look at the use case of USDT. It's obviously one of the largest stablecoins out there. So not having it in Europe at the moment or not being able to list it on a regulated exchange can be difficult, but I do think that will change. I think the other part that we really have seen is just that integration with trusted partners and a defense-first strategy. A lot of the larger financial institutions want to come into this space, but they also have a lot of committees they have to go through. They have to get their boards on board. And how do they do that? They have to prove out that what they're looking to do isn't just viable for their customers, it's also a safe and secure and trusted way to do it as well. So we're really seeing that element of how do we operate as an ecosystem, trusted players, regulated players, to enable them to provide these services to their customers and to large institutions.
Any one of you, do you want to comment something on Danny's?
I would say something, actually. Just mentioning that I think it's equally important where all these enterprises are choosing to launch their stablecoins. And here, it's been a clear winner, Ethereum, as the place where every enterprise wants to launch. And so linking to Arbitrum, it's been a huge, it's been an advantage for us, right? And so we're getting a lot of the activity that comes from Ethereum and the stablecoin issuers through that.
Jaime?
So actually, building on top of what Danny mentioned, one thing that we've seen is a massive adoption on the enterprise of blockchain technologies, more than ever. So we've seen a lot of pilot projects actually moving into production, and not just for financial specific use cases, but actually blockchain as that trusted layer of infrastructure, whether that's for supply chain traceability, whether that's for audit automation, multiple use cases. Then another thing, and maybe that's also where my background comes from, it's that convergence for the first time of AI with blockchain. So we've seen actually for the first time ever, not only AI analyzing at scale blockchain or transactions that happen on the blockchain, but eventually as well agents for the first time actually operating with wallets, performing transactions, and that probably is going to be a trend that we're going to see more and more happening in the following years. And of course, we need to ensure that those transactions that are being done not by humans but by agents are done in a secure and trusted way. And that's going to be a challenge by itself.
Yes, I think so. I mean, what do you think about agents having access? I mean, because, for example, it's said the application of agents, for example, to DeFi, to try to avoid the UX problems and so on from the user. But you need to give access to the AI or the AI agent to your private keys, or you need at least to authorize some movements. So how many of you, for example, in the audience, would allow an AI agent to have access to your funds? Let's go like that? Because on the paper, it sounds good, but when it comes to the reality, I mean, how you are facing that from Microsoft? What happens if the user, I mean, the use case is fantastic, but...
Yeah, I think we're moving into a world in which not only individuals, but also corporations and agents need to have their own verifiable decentralized identity in order to perform secure transactions. And we have been working with different fintech companies that actually are performing already transactions through agents, even through AI-powered applications via voice, in which, if you think about it, the potential risks of doing voice bank transaction or money transaction is huge. But of course, there are different ways in order to ensure that those happen in a secure way. Again, it all comes down again to the permissions that you give to those agents and to how do you actually authorize and authenticate those users in a secure way. And that's going to be the challenge, but also that's going to open multiple opportunities.
I'm going to change now the question. We have been talking about the use cases that have saved the year. Let's go to the opposite way. What was a use case that it was, I don't know, going to change everything in 2025, and we were thinking that it was going to be massive, and it has not? I mean, for example, Danny, what's your opinion there?
I think CBDCs, quite frankly. It sounds good in theory, but I see two large elements as to why it's not played out, which is one, interoperability, and also the ability for enterprise and institutions to understand it, but also integrate an on and off ramp to it. I don't think they're ready, quite frankly. So you can bring in a CBDC, however, the ecosystem of finance is quite frankly not ready to interact with a CBDC in the way they interact with the current system. So I think that's, for me, the big one that just hasn't quite played out yet, and we'll see where that goes. I'm unsure whether it will.
Yes, we are having a talk from Bank of Spain talking about digital euro after, in other states. What do you think about tokenization? It was supposed, I mean, we have been talking about tokenization for years, but it seems that it doesn't get the massive traction What do you think about that?
Well, we are also in a transition now. We build a platform, STX, in Bit2Me, and we, through the pilot regime, we did a tokenization of bonds, 150,000 euros with 3% yield. We did the settlement, deposit, and liquidation. It worked perfectly, all transparent, traceable. So I think that's coming as well in the next couple of weeks, months, the license, the official license. And we are talking about a market that now is currently between 15 and 20 trillion that it has the potential to be tokenized. So we are talking about the next level, the upgrade of the financial system. And I think this is the tool. This is the way to move this technology. And yeah, so I think it's a huge opportunity.
So let's wrap up the roundtable one by one. Let's talk a bit about the next year. What do you think it's going to be like the use case that we need to start looking at, thinking about 2026? For example, let's do the opposite way. Jaime?
Okay. Again, because I'm biased, but what I see is eventually Web3 transitioning towards what we call the NL web, natural language web, which is one in which 90% of the transactions and operations.
Like for the audience, because neither of these roundtable understood that concept.
You're going to hear about that more
instead
and more.
of Web3, Web2, Web1.
You can call it. It's going to be.
web.
Eventually, the evolution of Web3 is going to be one, again, just swarmed by agents that are going to be performing around 90% of the transactions. So we're not going to be getting into any websites or any or many blockchain technologies, but those are going to be most operations are going to be performed directly by agents. Of course, as mentioned before, that's going to pose a lot of challenges from a security and reliability perspective, eventually from a scalability one as well. But I believe that's going to be the big trend, heading towards an agentic web, an agentic first world. That's how I see it.
Danny?
Yeah, I think next year will be around, as I mentioned earlier, the unlock from regulation this year has allowed integration. Next year will be about launch of products, launch of services, and again, in many different ways. But I think on an enterprise level, you will see a lot of announcements from some big financial institutions coming out next year.
David?
I think we'll continue seeing new assets that are yield-bearing and that provide that value to the end user. And so we will continue seeing new platforms that allow the users to access those assets.
You know, I have to mention Bitcoin in this conversation as well. So I think next year, well, this year already, it's been a huge movement for treasury companies that are buying massively Bitcoin. There are more than 190. And I think out of 20, the 21st companies, there are only 2 from Asia and none from Europe in the top 20. And I hope 2026 swap this trend and we become in first positions.
We are going to have panels about all the topics that we have been mentioning here, right? Because this is an opening panel, very high level. So we are going to have a panel with you regarding Bitcoin treasury management, for example. We are going to have regarding stablecoins infrastructure. We are going to have about institutional staking, what the banks are going to be offering. The next year, we are going to have another one about AI and the impact into the blockchain and the financial services. So I think that the wrap-up of this roundtable, it was like stablecoins is a huge topic of the year, right? It is seen also in our agenda. There are a lot of topics regarding stablecoins, tokenization, of course, infrastructure. We are developing a lot, like the technology, of course, AI, and the financial services offering, right? Like the banks and how they are facing all of this. So thanks to everyone. This is just the opening panel, so I hope that you enjoy all the panels that are coming into the next 2 days, and hope to see you soon today at 12:30 that I have the institutional opening. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.